Hi everybody, welcome back. Now, like I mentioned in that last video, I'm going to talk about the York Street Cafe and not like as a restaurant review. I'm not going to say anything bad about them. I still, like them. This is, and I'm going to show this here, see if you can see it. Oh, shoot. Actually, get close. That's actually, if you can see it, that's actually, oh, there you go. I can actually see it now. That is actually a photo from inside the York Street Cafe that I took on my cell phone. The York Street Cafe, several years ago, like way back in the day, used to be a pharmacy. The building used to be a pharmacy. And I want to talk about them because this book here, Newport is Haunted. It's written by Matt Cooley, Jerome Gels II, Laura Gels, Bradley Hill, and David Kohaki. I've been meaning to do this ghost story for like a while now, but seeing that I went to the York Street Cafe and ate today, I'm like, well, just go ahead and do this one and get it done. And I also, since I'm doing kind of like a ghost story on here, I'm still, doing the Tell Me a Scary Story thing. So if you want to, go ahead and, send me a video, go ahead. You're welcome to do so. But anyway, I want to read more or less verbatim what, all those folks said here in Newport is Haunted, this book about the York Street Cafe. I'm also going to show, there's a that's a picture of just inside the door on the 8th Street entrance. That's what you see when you walk in. And like if you, like right here, like you can't see it, but like if you walk past where these chairs are sitting, like if you're looking at these chairs, if you go to your right, that's where the main part of the restaurant is. Like behind these chairs and on the left is the bathrooms, and then there's a flight of stairs if you go around that leads up to the other floors, the other 2 floors that I was mentioning in the last video. And I'll also, there's pictures with this. Here's like the stairs, for example, that I was talking about. This is that bar upstairs and on the 2nd floor. Like I said, I've been there before. This is also that same bar on the 2nd floor. Go ahead and show you those photos now. But like I mentioned in the last video, the restaurant is really good, even though some people claim that it's haunted, like in this book. But anyway, I want to, like I said earlier in this video, I want to read this story about the York Street Cafe's ghosts here from this book. And I want to, like I said, read this more or less verbatim for you, okay? It says here, York Street Cafe is located at 738 York Street and is currently owned and operated by Terry Cunningham. And by the way, this book was released in 2009. I can't say if the same person owns it, okay? Just for the record. But this 100-year-old building has been a focal point in much of Newport's history. Before becoming a restaurant, it operated as an office supply store in the 1960s and a pharmacy, as I mentioned, and I showed that picture from my cell phone, in the 1940s. In the 1920s, the 2nd and 3rd floors were operated by the Fraternal Order of Eagles. Shortly after Prohibition forced alcohol distribution to stop, the Eagles stormed downtown to the Wiedemann Brewery and took their revenge. They dismantled the bar inside in the brewery and took their prize back to their establishment. They rebuilt it piece by piece on the 2nd floor of the York Street Cafe, where it remains today. The Fraternal Order of Eagles continued to drink beer on the 2nd floor, scoffing at the Volstead Act and those who enforced it. Just like any other organization, the Eagles needed to fund their vice, so the 3rd floor was converted into a speakeasy that included gambling. The door from this era is still hanging at the top of the stairs, complete with sliding latch and peephole. Once Terry took possession of the building, he was approached by different people claiming to know the whereabouts of money stashed throughout the building. The first group of people insisted that there was money in the stairwell. They rationalized that from the time of Prohibition up to the 1960s, the operators of the casino and pharmacy were said to have hidden their illegal earnings in the banister newel post along the stairs. If you visit the cafe today, you will notice that the posts on the banisters that are indeed not made of the original wood. Unfortunately, Terry has yet to stumble upon any large rolls of cash. Shortly after Terry was enlightened about the money in the banisters, another person stopped by and told an equally tantalizing tale. He explained that there were several safes hidden throughout the building, between the walls. The gentleman simply identified himself as an old bookie from Newport's Sin City area. Hey, listen, you need to know something about this building. You have safes in the wall. There are 4 of them, the man told Terry. Well, I know about one of the safes. It's huge and it's right next to the kitchen, Terry replied. Yeah, but there are 3 more in the walls of the building. You just don't know where to look, said the bookie. He seemed spooked and quickly left after this exchange. Terry didn't put much stock in the usual encounter and dismissed the information. Most of the business places in Old Newport, especially those that house illegal gaming or drinking, still have some heavy and cumbersome safes sitting around. Safes are one of the more common artifacts left over from Newport's days as an open city, but were rarely buried in the walls. After about a year in the building, Terry explained the discovery of a second safe. We were doing some painting, and I noticed that part of the wall was not plaster, but in fact metal. We felt around, and I immediately remember being told about the safes. Sure enough, it was a safe, Terry recalled. Terry called locksmiths, but they were unsuccessful in springing the lock. Friends and employees worked on cracking the safe for over 6 months, but there was little progress. They tried a reciprocating saw and even a blowtorch to get through. I was at the hardware store when one of the fellows called me all excited to get back down to the restaurant because he had popped open the safe. When I made my way back, he handed me what he found inside. It was a key. We were still not sure what this key goes to. It was kind of anticlimactic. Terry mentioned a few other stories about the building, but the turn of the conversation changed as he began to retell the haunting tales of 738 York. The basement and the second floor are where most of the ghost sightings have occurred. The second floor of the York Street Cafe is used as a bar and entertainment venue that hosts big bands and swing dancing. More than one person has commented on seeing the apparition of a little girl dancing peacefully on the floor. However, not all spirit happenings have been so pleasant. Prior to the 1850s, many landowners in Newport, Kentucky owned slaves. While they are actually never held in the building, psychics commented that some of the served souls in the building were from that era. Historians speculate that the establishment at 738 York Street was used as a stop on the Underground Railroad, which could explain some of the paranormal energy inside the building. We had a psychic convention that came through one afternoon. There were about 30 people here taking a break and having lunch. After about 30 minutes, 2 of the ladies approached me and asked if we ever saw ghosts or had uneasy feelings in this building because they were feeling a lot of negative energy, Terry stated. Terry and a waitress explained that some people claimed to see things in the stairwells. They also claimed to have witnessed ghosts in the basement. They all agreed that the stairwell leading into the basement and the basement itself is where everyone felt the most uncomfortable. Several people described very similar and specific sensations, such as walking through areas of extreme cold and feeling chills pulse through their bodies. Others heard whispers and were unnerved by the presence of someone or something that could not be identified. The servant staff often felt that they were not alone. 2 psychics asked if Terry would like them to cleanse the building, and he agreed. After touring the building, the ladies felt like the greatest amount of negative energy was emanating from the basement's west corner. According to Terry, one of the servers agreed to go with them, but she was so disturbed by the voices that she fled the building during the seance. According to the psychics, the basement channeled a tremendous amount of energy. This was due to several different entities that had endured incredible amounts of suffering. They were unable to distinguish all of the spirits, but one psychic did positively identify the soul of a slave. After the ritual, both psychics agreed that the apparitions would not disrupt the living anymore, and that the spirits in the York Street Cafe had been released to the other side. Terry has commented that no one feels uneasy inside the building anymore. The spirits are finally at rest. Well, you know, that place is just, in a word, eclectic. Like I mentioned before, because some of the stuff that's in there, it's got like Elvis figurines. It's got these two storm dummies. One of them's got a broke pinky finger, and another one is just like a flapper from like the 1920s, or Can-Can Girl, or whatever you want to call it. There's like all kinds of like knickknacks and bric-a-brac hanging on the walls and in cubby holes, and the furniture is all mismatched and everything. And that's part of the reason why I like eating there. And I did mention that in the last video, but I'll mention it here. And the tables are very nice. I mean, they're glass covered. And like I said in the last video when I was talking about the restaurant review itself, or the restaurant itself as far as food goes, I really do highly recommend eating there. And, you know, I just really wish that, you know, the Alumni Society from the English department would get together and have another thing. Well, anyway, that aside, I just wanted to share that story of York Street Cafe from Newport is Haunted. Alright? Well, anyway, I'm going to pause here and then do some other stories and the other restaurant review, okay? So hang on.